Hello, welcome to the full top-down tour of Calavera Cafe. It's easy to ignore all the scenery, but if you pay attention to it, you'll be able to reconstruct the last year of Manny's life. And maybe you'll learn something about him that you didn't know before. For example, this sign up here is straight from Casablanca. It's based on Rick's Cafe Americano. And this sign looks suspiciously like the one above the tattoo parlor. Everything that Manny has, he's appropriated from something else, just like La Calavera Katrina appropriating other people's tastes. Remember when we first got here? Everyone was laughing at him. And now, there is his name up in lights over the arch. He did say that he would miss this place, so he probably does like it, somewhat. Maybe it feeds his ego. Speaking of temples to one's ego, he'd throw this one away, hand it over to his competition.
You can have it. I'm leaving town.
When you first see this place from up above, when you're standing up here, and you first look down, it just looks like he took the Automat and put some cloth and some lights on it. It looks like he just dressed up the bones of the Automat in different clothes. But when we go in, we're gonna see just how much depth he added to this place. If you ignore the Casablanca sign for a minute, and you look at the whole thing, the big picture with this awning and everything, doesn't it look just a little like this picture from the Lorax where the capitalist hides away at the top of his tower? It's also got a cactus and crooked things. I don't know. I would definitely say that I'm reading way too much into that. I absolutely love the 1950s space-age neon he uses over here. I wish there was more of that going around in the 21st century. This window is Manny's creation. Remember, there was a doorway there? He turned it into this window with a coat check area. The window style seems vaguely Arabic. Is he appropriating Arabic style for some reason? He's not, though. He got this design from this arch in Casablanca. It's straight from the movie. He didn't call his cafe Calavera's Cafe Americano. That would be too fanboyish. He knows when to stop. Instead, he used the American color scheme. Look at all the red, white, and blue everywhere. And if that wasn't enough, he's got stars and stripes. You've got white stars on a blue background, just like the American flag, and you've got a stripe pattern over here. It's not perfect, there's blue stripes in between the red stripes, just to confuse you. He didn't just accidentally stumble into the role of Rick in a Cafe Americano, he built it. It's very clear that everything here is his choice. The game isn't ripping off Casablanca, Manny is ripping off Casablanca. I also appreciate these dark wood baseboards. Modern people, when they see wood like this, they just paint over it. It's not Instagrammable enough. But in the Jazz Age, it said wealth. It said strength. It said stability. It said this is a place that's going to last forever. Or at least until Manny hands it over to the opposition. Which is a shame after all the work he put into this place. See this line? This is where the floor was before. Up here was where the fly was with the soup in its head. I don't know, flies thinking about soup? Don't get it. Anyway, it's gone now, painted over. These stars up here are not the star from the Lotteria. I really, really want them to be that, but they're not. The star from the Lotteria has 5 points. It's the sailor's guide. And it's also a sailor tattoo. Sailors tattoo this thing so they can find their way home. These stars on Calavera's ceiling are 6-pointed, just like the ones in the blue casket. He's even appropriated the design from the sign that he said he was gonna steal. He actually went ahead and stole the stars from it. We've already talked about Gladys playing music over here. I don't know what to say about these light fixtures, though. They're not Casablanca. Steampunk? Nah. Down here, there's Gladys playing romantic music for all these tables for two with a romantic candle. Now, why would Manny bring so much romance to a place that was originally a cold automat? Is he secretly a romantic at heart?
Because, my dear Ricky, I suspect that under that cynical shell, you're at heart a sentimentalist.
Or is it that romance is something that other people want from Manny? Something that other people are forcing on him, so it must be what other people want. It sells. He gives it to them because it sells. He charges them money for it. So while all these romantic people are sitting around their romantic candles, Manny would be here. Or at least he would be after I used tank controls to put him there. Well, he's dressed like the bartender, so I'm guessing he'd be behind here. When he's not expanding the place or hiding upstairs, this is where he'd be. But when you look at this, doesn't it look a little bit like self-hate? Firstly, when he's looking over the bar, he sees all the romantic people being romantic on those romantic tables that he put there. Meanwhile, he can't have Meche, and probably doesn't even want Meche, or at least he keeps telling you that, and I see no reason not to believe him. And doesn't this counter make him look ridiculously short? I mean, why would he build this place to make himself look short and loveless? Poor guy. Of course, anyone who feels bad about themselves can instantly feel better with one of these.
Ah, Marillo de Oro. A very fine liqueur filled with solid gold flakes. Nothing but the best for my customers. My rich customers.
Since he's decided that he's done with customers.
Yes, I better take this with me for safekeeping.
It's like the apocalypse. He's scavenging his own cafe. So, I'd like you to notice something. Manny, there is a row of shot glasses over here. There's even big ones that you can use. He could use one of them, or even one of the bigger ones. But instead, he's going to drink his fancy, tacky gold
Well, maybe just
straight from the bottle. And that just goes to show you that no matter how much money you have, you can't buy class. See? No class at all. He could put on the fanciest white tuxedo he could imagine, but his bones are still lower class. And that's why we like him. There's something else here that looks a bit out of place. This is a Russian samovar. So far, Manny has shown zero interest in the Russian culture, and there hasn't been any other Russian things in this Art Deco Aztec crossover world we inhabit. All the Russian stuff doesn't show up until year 4. This samovar is foreshadowing. A samovar is a tool for making tea. Russians in the Victorian era would brew tea in there, and the tea would come out of this spigot over here. That hasn't been true for decades, I don't know how long, so I've never had any that way. Well, that's it for this area. But he didn't stop here. When he had some extra cash, he invested it into digging out a whole nother back room over here to make even more cash. Manny actually put a temple to the dollar bill in this area. This round part looks like the Aztec calendar stone, which does not actually represent a year. But in the center, there is this odd pyramid with a piece of it detached flying up in the sky. That symbol was instantly familiar to any American at the time because it was found on every dollar bill and nobody ever imagined that somebody could possibly remove it. Nobody today would dare to create meaning by combining two different cultural symbols. I believe what was intended here was, 1 year later, Manny's worshipping the dollar. And one of the inspirations for Manny's Casablanca theme is standing right here at the roulette table.
Police Chief Bogan, Rubacava's finest. Rubacava's only, for that matter.
Bogan looks like this guy. But his name sounds like Bogart, which is of course Humphrey Bogart, the guy who played Rick in Casablanca. So, we've got two Casablanca characters in one. And then, there's this guy.
An honest roulette croupier is hard to find, and guys like this,
Well,
even harder.
I can only imagine how difficult it is to find someone that looks exactly like the waiter from Casablanca while having the voice of the roulette table operator from Casablanca. That must have been as hard as casting a Disney princess. I love these flashing colors. Look at that.
Mesdames et messieurs, rien ne va plus. Les jeux sont faits. Ladies and gentlemen, betting is closed. No more bets, please.
Everything okay down here?
I'm going to need some more chips if Monsieur Lucky does not call it a night soon.
So he's always winning.
Le
But these
numéro
guys-
gagnant, le 12, rouge, paramount, 12, red.
Ah, my bread and butter. Thrill-seeking
Mesdames
rich
et
folks with a
messieurs,
poor
faites
grasp
vos
of
jeux, s'il vous plaît.
statistics.
These are the guys that put the gold flakes in Manny's alcohol.
Ah, Marillo de Oro. A very fine liqueur
Mesdames et
filled with
messieurs,
solid gold
rien ne va plus.
flakes.
So there's
Les jeux
two
sont faits.
losers.
Ladies and
Not while
gentlemen,
they're losing.
betting is
Both of these are
closed. No more
losing,
bets, please.
and there's one of him and he's winning. So you can see how the math of the roulette tables works out. One of these roulette tables feeds Bogan, and the other roulette table is what paid for Manny's tuxedo.
Oh, why, thank you. You
Mesdames
know,
et messieurs,
some people
faites vos
say you
jeux,
should
s'il vous
always
plaît.
walk away from the table when you're on a winning streak.
Oh, yes, but I'm feeling extra
Can
lucky
he sound more ominous?
Ladies and gentlemen.
I like how he turns an objective fact into a threat like a mafia boss. But Bogan's having none of it. He's just, your gold is mine. He's just loving it, taking all of Manny's ill-gotten goods away from him. Before I continue, I'd like to take one last look around this place as a whole. Manny had to dig this out of the ground. He had to install lighting up here, electricity.
Please place your bets.
That's a lot of work and a lot of expense, just so he could make even more money. And yet, this dark temple to the dollar seems closer to Manny's heart than the romantic tables he'd placed in the other room. Have you ever stopped and looked at this mural? It is bizarre, but in a good way, not bizarre in a, oh, this is so bizarre, blonde way. It's bizarre in a good way. There are two figures holding scythes, two reapers. This one is dressed in a brown suit, and we know that Manny doesn't own a brown suit, but he does own a reaper cloak. There's a lady wearing green, and we know that Meche wears green. Although her hat doesn't look like anything Meche would wear, it looks more like this lady's hat. But it doesn't look like it's portraying this couple over here. And behind them, there's this other reaper holding 4 aces. Now we can get a better view of the bottom half of the mural if we sit down.
Mind if I sit down, Charlie?
Of course not, Manny. I mean, it is your club, right?
Before I talk to this Ugarte lookalike over here, I want to look at the mural some more. You see that this reaper, he's got a cloak full of eyeballs, as if to say, I'm keeping my eyes on you. And she has hearts all over her, as if to say, I'm an object of affection. Now, about Meche being objectified here, I don't care. That's not what this game is about, because Manny is gay, and I'll prove it by year 3. All the crosses on Manny's suit look a bit strange to me. He's not Christian. Maybe he's saying, this is my cross to bear. This is what I'm going to put myself through to do the right thing. And this reaper has a handful of aces, and he's got 4 aces, almost as if each ace is one of these years. Now the aces are in the wrong order. The first ace is the ace of diamonds, and this whole year, year 2, is very much about money, which, if you know anything about tarot cards, diamonds are all about money. And the reason I say they're out of order is that year 1 is all about wands and sticks of various sorts, and year 3 is all about water, which is the hearts and cups. And finally, he wears his reaper cloak to be death, to be finally the ace of spades in year 4. So really, this should be clubs followed by diamonds, followed by cups, followed by spades. But Manny wouldn't know that. He's a card shark, not a tarot reader, and that's why he commissioned the mural this way. But I do think that the 4 aces represent 4 years, and at the end of which there's a reaper. It ends. He only has to be Meche's pal for 4 years, and then it's mercifully over. This reaper is faceless, like the Count of Monte Cristo with no true self.
How's my little Count of Monte Cristo?
He's biding his time and watching. At first I thought that was Manny and that the other guy had to be Domino, until I noticed their skull shape. Really, that can't be Domino. But you can tell the way this Reaper stands next to Meche that he doesn't love her. It looks like he's abducted her the way Domino has. It is not a love fantasy at all. It's a soldiering on, cross to bear, conformity fantasy.
That's a nice suit. Where'd you steal it?
Manny, if you learn to play the odds like Chowchilla Charlie, then maybe you too can have a suit this fine someday.
But we've seen Manny play the odds.
Ah, Lady Luck.
This is also really ominous because Manny gets everything he wants. He gets it. And that's kind of terrifying.
What are you doing in my club, Charlie? Didn't I tell you not to come back until you can pay your bar tab?
Oh, or they kicked me out of that cat track for printing fake betting stubs. So now I have to come here, Manny, which I love,
Does he cheat here too?
Why aren't you over at the roulette tables?
The roulette is for lonely widows and Frenchmen. Why don't you get some slot machines, Manny? Everybody, old women, little children, they all love slot machines. And I have a system, an infallible system for beating them.
So there is something about Frenchmen that is very Casablanca. The French were on the Allied side in World War II, and at one point, Rick actually sings the French national anthem in order to get rid of some Nazis. So it sounds a bit weird here if you're not familiar with it, but the French were very much the good guys in Casablanca. The thing about the widows, though, I don't get it. I have no idea where it comes from, what it means. If you know what it means, please inform me in the comments. Do widows help him look straight?
All my friends are lonely widows and Frenchmen.
Except me, Manny. I'm here to keep you sane.
And by sane, he means completely crooked.
How did you print fake betting stubs?
With this. Isn't she beautiful? The last time I was incarcerated, I shared a cell with the most dishonest con man I ever met. He was strictly small time, and I managed to steal this from him quite easily.
Thanks. You never know when this may come in handy.
Hey, give that back to me, Manny.
Maybe once you settle your bar tab, eh, Charlie?
Oh, Manny.
So, if you really go through with what just happened here, Manny, a small-time crook, just strong-armed a forgery device from another small-time crook who has stolen it from the biggest small-time crook that he's ever known in jail. I feel really bad for the engineering expert who originally built this machine. Engineers always get ripped off.
Tell me your system, Charlie.
I can't tell you my secrets. Just this. You have to become one with the bandit, Manny. You have to get inside the machine and make it want to pay.
On second thought, stay away from my roulette tables.
And in year 4, Manny finds a way to take this literally.
What else can you counterfeit?
Nothing. Anything.
I'm not gonna ask the quest-related question now, but passports are another Rick roleplay thing. In Casablanca, passports to America were the golden tickets. All these refugees from all over were risking real tickets, fake tickets, anything they can get their hands on to escape the Nazis. And they were seen as noble, and people like Rick who helped them were also seen as noble. How times have changed. But while they helped all those refugees, they completely neglected poor Sam.
You'll double what I pay you.
Yeah, but I ain't got time to spend the money I make here.
He had nowhere to go.
So can you make passports?
Manny, you still think like a living man in so many ways.
A
No
fictional
soul needs
living
a
man, to be
passport.
exact.
We are all citizens of the same nation, and our king rides a pale horse.
So no passports.
No, that little hologram is so tricky, you know?
Maybe that's how Olivia drives. She's got a license.
How about driver's licenses?
Sure. Just, give me a recent picture, $50 in, about 2 weeks, okay?
When I think of something I need, I'll come back.
I'm not a wishing well, Manny.
Well, I've got a club to run, so...
Oh, yes. Please, Manny. Get on with your glamorous life.
They don't need to spell it out. Tomorrow never comes. The Grim Reaper has no future. 2 weeks from now might as well be never. There is one last thing I notice about this area. You see the carpet, the red triangles in the stars? They look like they form an hourglass shape. An hourglass is something that can mean death, which is why the Department of Death uses one on its logo. It also shows up in this concept art. I don't know if it's supposed to be a symbol of death in the carpet as well. I could be reading too much into it at this point. When you look in here, you can see the Aztec shrine to the dollar bill through the door. The border around it makes it look a bit like some kind of sarcophagus. Even though everything is so lit up and colorful, everywhere you look there are small indications of Manny's role as death. I hope that paying attention to all these details has helped you notice something that you've never noticed before. Helped you learn something about Manny, see him in a different light. But we're not quite done yet. I still would like to show you how differently he interacts with different people.
I just had a run-in with Domino and Meche. We're leaving town.
What? How?
Domino's got Meche. We're going after them tonight.
What should I do?
Just sit here until I get a boat.
Sit here. Check. Okay.
Sounds good.
I know it.
He's being honest with Glottis again. He's telling him exactly what's going on and why, levels with him. But Lupe, he lets her get all excited about the future of Calavera Cafe and her system, and he doesn't bother to tell her that it's the end.
Evening, Lupe.
Hi, Manny. I have a note for you from Lola.
Lola?
Yes. Now, where is it? Where? Oh, here. No, wait. Dang. I have a whole new system for messages. Just let me... Here. No, wait. Be quiet. Here it is. Wait a second. It's empty. There was something inside. It felt like a key.
A key?
Yes! Did somebody come back here and snake the key while I was sorting the coats? Who would do that? They messed up my whole system!
All right, looks like my tour got briefly interrupted by some exposition. We've already met Lola in her Soho-shaped hat.
Evening, Lupe.
Hi, Manny.
Everything okay back in the land of fur and fedoras?
Everything's in order. It's beautiful. I can't wait for people to come in and try the new system. It's so cool. Want to hear about it?
Okay, back to work.
But my system.
I'll be back.
Okay.
And that was Lupe. She can't wait for customers to show up. Manny doesn't bother telling her that there aren't going to be any. And this is such a shame because they're so similar. They're both workaholics. They both like to put on a happy face. They both seem to be running from something. The only difference between them is that Lupe cares about her work. She thinks it means something. And Manny, he knows that he's working for nothing. He's been working for nothing all year. I've shown you this place already in the first video of year 2. I've introduced us to Lady Luck already.
Can't. I'd miss my boat.
The only thing different this time is his excuse for not sleeping. And the last people he interacts with here, we got this off the table that he keeps separate, are his revolutionary contacts for justice.
Calavera, it is indeed a great day for the revolution. Say hola to little Manny, the first enlisted messenger to serve the LSA. Please feed him some breadcrumbs and send him back quickly. so we may know that our maiden flight was a success.
And that's what happened to all that bread from year 1. You can see the entire town from over here. The blimp is landed. You can see the crossroads that go to the blue casket. You can see the lighthouse. And of course, there's Max's cat track, huge and looming in the distance. So, why is Manny working so incredibly hard, only to build something that he is so incredibly willing to walk away from? All this digging deeper and deeper into the ground, all this sleepless work, all this selling romance to people. I think he's trying to get away from this fence that he can see. So this fence goes around here. This is the same fence from year 1, as you can see. And we did see that it gets cut off after this on the zoom out. But when you go here, you see that it does not get cut off here at all. And in fact, it's the same fence all around, the same shape. There's no place where the fence gets. I'm going to switch to tank control so he can go up really close to where he fell off. There's no place where the fence changes and where you can accidentally fall off. How did that happen in year 1? How did he accidentally step over and fall off this fence?
It's bolted down.
Oh, come on, you don't have to steal everything.
Lola, Lola, where are you?
Now he's looking for another woman. Does that mean he loves her? No.
Gross. How long was that raven sitting there?
This seems to be contrary to the heterosexual plot of this story. Why did the raven have to sit there and wait for Manny long enough to go to the bathroom several times? Doesn't seem to fit what Manny is doing and what everybody else is making him do. And I think that explains the fence. He has to spend his entire life hiding who he is, dressing up his bones in the costume of a straight man. Even as this guy is chasing after this lady, he wants to avoid her because he's actually gay. He doesn't want to be following her, and that's why he uses the antisocial line when Lupe tells him about her. That's why the raven had to wait so long. That's why Meche walks down the street and he just walks the other way. That's why the fence occurred. And that's why he works so hard. And that's why he doesn't care about the money that comes from the work. Okay, there's lots of other videos about Grim Fandango on the internet, and most of them fall into 2 categories. You see a bunch of young guys driving Manny, like possessing him, like a bunch of fire badgers just giggling and all sorts of stuff like that, making jokes and only half getting what's there. And you get people playing it through with no commentary whatsoever. But nobody has given, not on a blog or on a video that I could find, Calavera Cafe or any other aspect of this game, the deep, close attention that I have given it. And once you give it this attention, once you really think about it, you see that it's a much richer, deeper story, much more meaningful than either a simple playthrough or one of the numerous videos where the owners try really hard to make themselves look funny and don't pay attention to Manny Calavera and how he spends his time in the afterlife and all the meaningful details that have been carefully placed in this game by somebody other than Tim Schafer, because he doesn't even speak Spanish. And that's why I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe, or any one of those things. Leave a comment, because there's nothing else on the internet quite like this video. I realize I can have a more expensive microphone and come off better than I do. And that's why I need your support, because this content really should be available to Grim Fandango or classic adventure game fans, or fans of La Calavera Katrina.